A while ago, I made a video discussing the balancing aspects of Pikmin for Pikmin 4. Now, there is a bit of information that can be retrieved from the Japanese website about each Pikmin, so let's take a look and see if we can determine whether or not it seems like they made the correct changes or choices to make each type of Pikmin fit even better. Hello everyone, you're watching Variety Television and welcome to another Pikmin 4 video. Before we get started, I would like to remind you to subscribe, as most of the people who watch these videos are not subscribed. With that out of the way, let's start looking at these Pikmin and see if there's anything that we can deduce based off of what this website says. Starting with the red Pikmin, Pikmin has a bright red body and a pointed nose. Among the semi-plant Pikmin, it has the most animalistic fighting spirit and curiosity. Since it is highly adaptable to high temperatures, it is distributed over a wide range. So it doesn't seem like they got a lot added to them, but it doesn't look like they were changed in any major ways either. The skin and muscle fibers are made of cells that are difficult to burn, and they can work without any problems, even if they come into contact with flame or heat. So we have the typical flame resistance that we would expect from our Pikmin, from our red Pikmin anyway, so that's really good. Here we see, thanks to the sharp pointed nose-like protrusion, it is the most powerful of the Pikmins. So pretty much they retain their attack strength and fire resistance with nothing being added or taken away. So we've got our standard red Pikmin, and they've never really felt like a problem anyway, so I guess that's alright. Alright, let's take a look at the yellow guys next. The yellow Pikmin with large ear-like folds using its ears dexterously, it flies high or digs holes when thrown. It is resistant to electricity and even seems to prefer electricity. So that's interesting. Not only is it resistant to electricity, but when energized, the leaves on the head can grow and bloom. So it seems to me that functions just like it did in Pikmin 3, where if you use a chain of yellow Pikmin to direct a current, it causes their leaves or buds to fully mature into flowers, which is a very interesting and unique aspect of the yellows, since I guess they don't have to have nectar to turn into flowers, but it's not like you can't make them flowers any other way, or like any other Pikmin can't get flowers, so it's just interesting that this is such a big point of their page. It can flap its ear-like folds on its head and fly higher than other Pikmin, which, yes it can. Depending on how that's handled in the new game, we'll see if that even matters or not. Because as far as I'm concerned, that's what pink Pikmin are for. It has the fastest burrowing speed among the Pikmins, so the digging speed and the electricity immunity seem to be the only thing unique to this Pikmin in this game. All Pikmin can dig, but these guys can dig a bit faster, which I guess would incentivize you to use them over the others for digging specifically, and also they can take down electric gates. So all in all, not too bad I guess. Would really, like with most of these, we'll just have to wait and see how they implement it to decide if they did it correctly or not. We'll have to see the amount of available dig spots, the amount of high up enemies where you can choose to use either yellow or winged Pikmin. We'll have to see the amount of electricity that's in this game, or electrically charged enemies, and then ultimately decide if they got the treatment they deserved, or if they are, at least in my opinion, if they feel a little lackluster. Okay, now on to the one that has been debated the most in the comments section, and that's the blue Pikmin. The character is blue Pikmin with an indescribable expression. While many pedigrees are not good at water, they can breathe on both land and water and have a wide range of activities. In the process of evolution, the roots of organisms have changed and they have become able to walk. In addition to Pikmin, several other types have been confirmed. So what's interesting about this is, if the translation is meaning what I think it means, it's just confirming that there are other plant-like creatures that are able to walk around and have evolved to be able to walk around. However, it seems like it could just be something strange with the translation, and what it's actually trying to say is that in the process of evolution, the reason Pikmin are able to walk is because the roots of the organisms have changed and they've become able to walk. And I think this next sentence where it says, in addition to Pikmin, several other types have been confirmed, I think that means blue Pikmin. In addition to blue Pikmin, several other types have been confirmed, referring to the other Pikmin types, rather than a whole slew of mysterious plant creatures that are walking around, which I mean, that very well could be the case as well, since we've recently learned about the leaflings, and there's creeping chrysanthemums, and there's all sorts of living plants on that planet, so it's not like it wouldn't be anything new or unheard of, if that is what it's referring to. However, getting on to the blue Pikmin, it has mouth-shaped gills on its head and does not drown in water. When it finds its prey in the water, it swims well and chases it, and that's it for the blue Pikmin. So, just as before, these guys pretty much deal with being fully submerged in water, which I think is perfect for them as long as it's handled correctly. I think Pikmin 3 did a really cool job of using blue Pikmin. While there are many places where you can just fly over the water with your winged Pikmin, there are lots of bridge shards and things like that you can go underwater and explore. There's a specific map that I remember that gets opened up about halfway through the game where almost that entire half of the map takes place underwater while the rest of it is like a regular map. And when you get to this underwater portion of the map, the only ones that you find yourself wanting to bring are blue and pink, since either half of it is right over water or half of it is right underwater. So things like that are very interesting. I think setting up the environments to make blue Pikmin work is the key to making these Pikmin feel like they're more necessary or like you want to use them more. Also, we know from an earlier trailer that one new thing that's being added is water geysers. So there will be parts that are on land where you may need blue Pikmin to help you get through it, either to deactivate the water geysers or maybe to carry something through it. Onto the rock Pikmin, parasitic on rocks, mistletoe Pikmin. Pikmin have roots and plants, but acquire their bodies by rooting deep into their hosts. So, what's really interesting about this is that it says Pikmin have roots and plants, but some acquire their bodies by rooting deep into their hosts. I know I basically just read that sentence again, but Pikmin have roots in plants, okay? And some acquire their bodies by rooting deep into their hosts. This seems to imply that whatever the rock Pikmin are not naturally rocks, but rather some sort of rooted plant that acquires their body once they have set their roots deep into a rock, I guess. So maybe this is a form that the parasitic Pikmin can take. Maybe they can take over a rock, a hollow rock, and live inside of it and use the rock as armor. And that's another way that they're able to survive. So you've got the Bulbmin form, possibly the Leafling form, possibly whatever Moss is, and now it seems like possibly the rock Pikmin as well. Because the body is made of hard rock, it will not be crushed if stepped on. However, it crumbles on a hard floor, perhaps because it is hollow inside. So yeah, it's hollow inside, giving space for a parasitic Pikmin to live, but these guys will no longer be fully immune to crushing. They will now get crushed on a hard surface, and they can still break glass walls like they could before, and they are unable to latch onto enemies like they could not before. So the changes made to the rock Pikmin are really interesting. I know that they can't latch onto enemies because they're rocks. When you throw them, they bounce, and they're meant to do damage as if you were throwing rocks. When you throw a rock, it typically doesn't get up and start punching whoever you threw it at. You can throw it again, though. And I think that's what the rock Pikmin are, like, that's their whole deal. That's what they're here for. The thing that I find is really interesting is the fact that they can now get crushed on hard floors. It seems to me like could potentially get kind of confusing. I've been out in the wild and found parts of the ground that are harder than the others, and it looks identical. They're gonna have to do a really good job at distinguishing between hard and soft ground, or else, like, a lot of the strategy you use with rock Pikmin, like using them to distract enemies, and when they get stepped on, they could all die, because that looked like sand, but it turns out it's something that's considered a hard material or whatever. Distinguishing between the surfaces is going to be a big part of making this work, otherwise I think it's going to be really confusing and get a lot of rock Pikmin killed. Next, we're moving on to one of my personal favorites, round-faced, peach-colored Pikmin with light blue glasses. It has a pair of wings on its back and can fly freely in the air, but in exchange for that, it is small in stature, light, and weak in attack. Of course, we are talking about the winged Pikmin. Notice it shows red, yellow, and blue Pikmin carrying that 5 pellet, but pink Pikmin carrying this 5 pellet. I point that out because the sentence says the only Pikmin with wings that can fly, and we know for a fact that glow Pikmin at least seem to hover over the ground, so there are other wingless Pikmin that can fly, but these ones are special because they're the only winged Pikmin that can fly. Although it has a small body and weak knocking force, it does not give up and continues to face its prey even if it's pretended. Now, I'm not exactly sure what the ending of that sentence is supposed to mean, but this is the sentence reiterating the fact that they do less attack damage. This weak knocking force as well is another thing that's referred to in this website, like the knocking force, and that seems to be like a Pikmin's ability to take down gates or accomplish similar tasks. So that means that also pink Pikmin are not very good at, taking down obstacles. They're not good at fighting, they're not good at taking down obstacles, which I think is a really, really good balance. They can reach things high up and they can carry over water, but beyond that, you're not really going to want to use them for anything because, if you're in a combat situation, other Pikmin are probably going to be more helpful than the weakest ones. And if you're in a situation where you want to take down an obstacle, you'll probably use Pikmin that are more suited to taking down obstacles. This eliminates the issue of just being able to take pinks everywhere and have them handle most of the stuff, like beyond fighting or obstacles that they literally just can't handle. I think while this is a minor change, it'll benefit the winged Pikmin's balancing a lot. And I'm not really sure if the whole taking gates down slowly thing was a thing in Pikmin 3 or not, but if it was, it didn't seem as prominent to me, so maybe they did it right here. Hey, and what do you know, the next one on the list is my next favorite. Pikmin has a small, pure white body and red eyes that catch the eye. Very strong poison in the body, and is resistant to various poisons. Born from white Ponga Shigusa that blooms only underground. So, for one, this lets us know that, confirmed, it doesn't seem like there's going to be a white Pikmin onion. It is resistant to poison and does not have any problems with contact with poison gas and poison spores. Of course, that's an interesting sentence because there's only one time we've ever seen poison spores before, and it was with the Puffstool in Pikmin 1. At least from what I can think of, that's the only thing emitting poison spores. And so maybe that guy's back and the white Pikmin are immune to it. I cannot think of right now which user suggested that in the comments, but that was absolutely something that one of you guys had said before, that it would be cool if the Puffstool and Puffmin make a return, that if the white Pikmin were immune to its spores. And it definitely seems like that's the case, so good call on that one. It has a strong poison in its body and can kill creatures that prey on white Pikmin. So it seems like the poison aesthetic of this game has been updated to be this like bluish, greenish, like this chlorine gas looking type material rather than the deep reddish purple that it was before. I had seen some people discussing why they did this on Reddit, and there were a lot of interesting ideas out there as to why they probably changed the color. Ultimately, I think I agree with a person who stated it was probably to not confuse players who might think purple Pikmin are immune to the poison, since, fire is red, red Pikmin, electricity is yellow, yellow Pikmin, water is blue, blue Pikmin, and if the poison is purple, well, purple Pikmin, but that's not the case. So, if it were a white gas, I think it would be too hard to see, and if it were a red gas, you would think it's fire. So really, this is the only way to update it in a sense for new players so that they don't get confused and kill all their purples in a poison gas cloud. White Pikmin can still run the fastest of all the other Pikmin, but on the other hand, their body is small and the tapping force is weak. So that's the thing I was talking about with the pink Pikmin, the winged Pikmin, that tapping force or knocking force. Just like the winged Pikmin, while these guys are really fast, and while these guys are immune to poison, and while these guys deal massive damage when ingested, they also aren't ones that you're going to want to use primarily for taking down obstacles, and you probably wouldn't want to use them for fighting either unless you're letting them get eaten. especially since we now know that you're only going to be able to find them in the white candy pop buds in caves like before. It doesn't seem like we're going to have unlimited access to white Pikmin, so keeping them like safe and alive is going to be a big part of this. We're not going to just want to throw them away in a combat situation and let them get eaten. We're probably going to try and keep them alive. Pikmin with a purple color, thick and strong body. The power and weight are substandard, and there are 10 other Pikmins. Like the white Pikmin, it is a rare species that can only be multiplied in underground Pongasagusa. So basically what this is saying, their power and weight are not substandard, they are well above standard. There are not other 10 Pikmin, they are 10 Pikmin. They have the weight and strength of 10 Pikmin, and their power and weight are anything but substandard. It's again letting us know that we're only going to be able to find these guys in the purple candy pop buds, which are going to be found underground in caves. So white and purple Pikmin are still going to be remaining somewhat rare in this game, and it's going to be important, like in Pikmin 2, to keep them alive, because you will have a limited number. It is so large that it weighs 10 times more than other Pikmin and generates a shockwave when it lands on the ground. However, the legs are slow, so they still go thud when you throw them. They're still heavy, and they're still big, strong Pikmin, and they're still the slowest Pikmin type, so that's good. That's good balancing. And he has developed muscle and strength and is 10 times stronger than other Pikmin. The tapping force is also as strong as the red Pikmin. So that's that damage. Oh, here we go, a nice little shot of some purple Pikmin seeds and the purple candy pop bud. That's very interesting. It is born by throwing Pikmin into the purple Pongasagusa, which can only be found underground, so yeah. The tapping force is also as strong as the red Pikmin. This lets us know that, just like in Pikmin 2, purple Pikmin have increased attack damage. So they have increased attack damage, they send a shockwave, which I think is referring to the stun, or the fact that they go thud when you throw them on the ground. They're 10 times stronger, they're 10 times heavier, and they're limited to, they're in finite numbers found only in caves, but to me, it seems like they just brought back Pikmin 2 purples, which is really worrying. Hopefully, the stun is toned down, because in Pikmin 2, unless the enemy is in water or otherwise elementally charged, you can use purple Pikmin to take it out, and you will never need any other Pikmin type. Bulborbs, whatever, it does not matter. If you just throw enough purples at it, whatever you're fighting will never even get the chance to attack you because it's just stuck in a stun animation. That definitely needs to be reworked if you want to make this game balanced, otherwise you're just going to be using so many purples all the time. I guess with the previous ones I stated, like yellows and blues, we'll really have to see how they decide to implement it in this game, to see if we feel like they've been balanced or if they're broken once again. I would love to move on to the glow Pikmin, but that page of the website doesn't actually become available until the actual game comes out, but there is some speculation we can make about the glow Pikmin. Since it seems like in nighttime expedition modes, glow Pikmin are the only ones you can take out with you, I assume they're going to be resistant to most of the overworld obstacles, or most of the overworld things that you're going to have to face. You're going to have to fend off these glow Pikmin mounds with just the glow Pikmin, so I assume they've got high attack damage, resistance to most of the types, and that's probably why they can fly as well. They basically need to be all the Pikmin in one, since they're the only ones that you can use at night. Of course, if this is the case, then in any normal situation they would be incredibly overpowered, but since it seems like you can only use them in night expeditions, and not at all during normal gameplay, and since you can't use any normal Pikmin types during nighttime gameplay, it seems really balanced to me. It would be no different than having a full squad of Pikmin out at night, except you're limited to the cool new Pikmin type. It's no different, and I think that's going to be balanced just fine. But let me know what you think about Pikmin balancing down below. Do you think they made the changes necessary to benefit the Pikmin? Do you think blue Pikmin are finally more useful with the existence of water geysers? Let me know what you think about all of the Pikmin balancing things that we've discussed down in the comments below. Is there anything about these Pikmin that you would change further to balance it more? If so, I would love to hear about it. I think it's really interesting that rock Pikmin can get crushed, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see how the map and level design and enemies and things like that work out for the blue Pikmin. I'm especially excited to see the interaction with the overworld water geysers and see how those situations play out. I think that's going to be really good for the blue Pikmin, and I'm also really worried for the purple Pikmin, just in case they're still too strong or whatever. But that's it. That's all I got for this one. It's a little bit different of a video than we normally do, but it is what it is. Consider subscribing and liking if you enjoyed this video, but don't go anywhere. Variety Television will be right back.